Right. Welcome on board, everybody. It's a pleasure to have you here. Again, my name is Dr. David Ferroni, Principal Consultant at Chivas Networks UK. We're going to be taking straight away the introductory part of this training. And like I said earlier, it's going to be very interactive. This section is not a lecture, it is a tutorial where the tutor and the student are interacting. So majority of the way we're going to be doing is that we'll be asking you questions, you share your experience, what you think, what you know. Then if there's a need for us to correct it or mention one or two things, we'll correct it, then we'll move forward from there. All right. I'm sure we have a balanced house, a male and a female. We have Mr. Peter as the male and Madam Fola Shade as the female. Mr. Peter, you are in the project management part, right? Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct.
And Fola Shade is in business analysis part. So we're going to be taking almost all the section together, be it if you're a BA or you're a PM. There's some specific topic that we need to just look at together. But just as we all know, the main lectures is inside the elements, and you have gone through that as well. Now, in the process of the tutorial, if you have any question regarding what you've heard in your LMS, or if you heard during the tutorial, or something you are not sure of, when we get to that particular topic, you can ask about it. Now, we're going to be starting from what is project. We're going to go a bit into that. We'll probably look at what is business analysis, look at some background information about what we are trying to go into is all about. So we are going from the preliminary level of just few words. Then from there we start moving into the techie part of it as we graduate from one step to the other. So it is important that we start from one letter word, just the same way you learn language. You start from one letter word, no, from ABC to one letter word, two letter words, three letter words, and all that. So this is going to be our alphabet. So starting from the most simplest preliminary part of it. So who can tell us, to you, Mr. Peter, what does project means?
Forgive me because my knowledge is very rusty, but to me, a project means like a temporary venture, which is opposed to the business as usual.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much. A temporary what? A temporary, what did you call it?
A venture.
Adventure. A temporary adventure, a temporary environment, a temporary process, or a temporary activity, which is different from a business as usual. Okay, what else can you tell us about what project means to you? Other things, what are the other things that you know that project means?
There is also like a specific start time and a specific end
Fantastic.
time.
Fantastic. Very well. Thank you so much. Every project will have a specific start time and a specific end time. So we have to have a start date and it must have an end date. That's very important. What other things do you think is project all about? So sometimes you can say that the start time and the end time, it depends on the complexity of the project that will determine the duration of the project as well. So what are the other factors that you think project has?
Yeah, a project must be in compliance with what the product's owner and what the stakeholders desire.
Fantastic. The project must have a brief. It must have what it is all about, the goal of the project. Fantastic. Okay, what other things? So let me just help you. A project must have a cost, it must have a timeline, it must have a budget, it must have there's some degree of uncertainty, dependencies when we're talking about a project. So in a document, there's a document where you document all this information about what the project is all about. And that document is called what? Do you know?
Is it called a project brief?
Okay, project brief, yeah. A project brief could be the skeletal part of that document. So we call the document a business case. So a business case will mature, a document, a mandate will graduate from being a mandate to a project brief. Then from there, it becomes refined. From there, it becomes a project charter. From there, it becomes a business case. Now, business case is the Bible of the project. That is where everything we want to do in the project is written. I hope we understand that. So the document where everything that we want to work on in that project is written is called a business case. Now, what are the things that we can say business case is all about? Shadi, I know you can't speak, but you can type. So you can type your response on the chat box. I can read it out to you. What are the elements of business case? It's on the screen. It has to be interactive. Very quickly, we'll try as much as possible to spend like an hour to cover as much as we can today. Then we'll take it from further from there on Tuesday. So, what are the factors, or let me say elements in business case? What are the things that you must have inside the business case? It's on your screen. Cost benefits. Thank you very much. What else? I think I've mentioned some of them. Mr. Peter.
Yep, time limitations.
Timeline. Thank you. Reasons for the project. Options. We should have options. We should have duration. That duration is timeline as well. Thank you very much for last day. The duration is timeline as well. The risk. What are the risks that are associated to the project? That definitely every project will have its own risk that is associated to it. So we will have to look at, we have to document all these things inside a business case. Now, projects, there are different types of projects, right? So it could be a project in a, it could be a project in a construction environment. It could be in an NHS. So there are different examples of a project. Change of telecommunication service provider, moving from 4G to 5G. It's a project for a telecommunication network, moving from 4G to 5G, moving from let's say adaptivity to a telephone to other devices. Maybe there is a particular services that we want to change the way it works. Maybe those services only all work alone on a mobile, but now we want it to be able to work on other smart devices like TV, like smartwatch. So it's a project for the company as well. So there are different kinds of projects as long as it's been initiated by the organization and it has a start and an end date. So we equally have what we call a project environment. So what do you think a project environment is, Mr. Peter? But you can use the chat box as well to read, say out whatever you want to say till you get home. Project environment. What do we mean by the project environment?
Basically, it's like a collection of like different factors that could affect the project, like social and economic factors.
Fantastic. We have said earlier that a project has a start date and end date and is temporary. So there are other factors that can affect the project. That's not the project environment yet that you mentioned: physical, ecological, social, and economic, and so on and so forth. Those ones are not project environment. They are just part of. They are factors that you can find in a project environment. All right, things that interact with the project environment. So what exactly do we mean by a project environment? A project environment where actions research had been undertaken. There are prescribed cycles that must occur, which includes the discovery, conceptualization, implementing, planning, close the project being undertaken. So all these things are what we call the project environment. When we start the project now, the mandate has been given to us. We have actually assigned resource team members to that project. The BA, the PM, the Scrum Master, product owner, the developer, the testers, and all those. Every of these people that comes together here, they form the project environment and the factors that is associated to it, like the ecological, sociological, physical, etc., apparatura, as well as all the things that we have to control in the project. That is the risk, quality, benefit, timeline, cost, options, and so on and so forth. Every of all these form part of the project environment. If you understand what I've said up to this point, can you please type yes into the chat box, please? Got yes from Peter. Thank you very much, Afola Day. Now, let's go to business. Don't forget we've said that we're taking it from the preliminary. So we have looked at what a project is. Now let's look at what business is. Now, in a summary for me, I will just quickly tell you that the word business in a project management environment is totally different from the word business in a business management environment. When you use the word project in a project environment, it's not buying and selling. When we say business, it could be referred to the organization. Generally referred to the organization that seeks the profit by providing goods and services in exchange for payment. Well, that can be business. But in a project environment, the organization itself, that is the company, can be referred to as the business. The product can be referred to as the business. For example, you heard earlier when we say the business case. So the project we are working on itself can be referred to as the business, and that is the product. The product we are working on. If you want to develop an app, that can be referred to as the business we are working on. So it's not the word business here does not refer to business where that is buying and selling, or business as me having or you having a business where you sell goods and services. That's not what we mean here. So it is important for us to understand this terminology and the way it's being related or it's being applied in an environment like this. Now, what is project management? We've looked at projects, we've looked at business. Now we want to see what is project management. So what is project management? Mr. Peter, please. Very quickly.
Yeah, basically project management is basically overseeing a project from start to finish, making sure everything is like running efficiently and smoothly and satisfies the project owners and the stakeholders at the end.
Fantastic. That is from the conception to completion, and ensuring that it satisfies the need. Ensuring that it satisfies the need of the user. Managing of end-to-end process of a product to the maximum level of satisfaction of the need of the users. How does that sound? Up to quality.
Yeah, that's probably a much better definition than what I gave, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. We are brainstorming together. Yeah, what you said is correct. Okay, but I'm only trying to help you to buttress what you said. So the conception of the project to the completion of the project in a way which actually taking into account the maximum satisfaction of the users. Now, when we mention the word the users, now we are talking about the stakeholders. That is the sponsor, the people that wants to use the product, even as far as the people that will not use the product now, but they will use the product later. Ensuring that what we are building, the output we are building, or the product we are building, or the business we are working on satisfies the need of the end users to high level of quality and acceptance criteria. Shadi, do you understand it to that point? I need a quick response. Thank you. Yes, I do. Well done. Now, what is business analysis now? We've looked at project, we've looked at business and project management. Now, what is business analysis? Who wants to try? Mr. Peter, do you want to give it a go?
Yes, basically a business analyst, they identify problems within the business environment and find out ways of how to improve those problems.
Fantastic. Identifying the issue and creating a solution. That is what business analysis is all about. identifying the issue, that is the need of the business or of the product or of the users, and ensuring that a solution is created, that is an improved quality is introduced. Does that make sense? I think
Yes.
we've lost Shade. Should we wait a bit for her to return so that it won't be just okay? Shade, you are welcome back. Are you home now? Right. So I will repeat, because I think we lost Shade at some point. Um, Business analysis is identifying the need or issue of the business and creating a solution, mitigating the risk, finding solution to the problem in a way that at the end of the day, the output will satisfy the users. Say, for example, during the coronavirus, the pandemic just during the coronavirus pandemic, the pandemic just the pandemic came a year, 2 years before that. NHS was not prepared for it, but when it came, NHS responsibility is to save people's life. Am I right? Now there is a need to solve that problem of stopping people from dying. Then NHS creates a project to find out the cause or how to control the number of people that are dying, ensuring that there are products that are launched into the world or into the society or into the NHS that assist people not to die. So identifying a problem that erupts, analyzing the problem. We use that word problem so that you can understand what we mean. It is not actually called problem in a project environment. It's called issues or risk. What do I call it? The word problem is called issue or risk. What did I call it? Mr. Peter, the word problem, when you say problem in a layman term, in a project environment, what is it called?
Issues.
Or what? It's called issue or risk. So identifying the issue, identifying the risk, and helping the organization to create a solution to the issue or the risk is what you are here for as a business analyst. Now, in this process, you identify, right? When you identify the issue, Thank you very much for that, for writing that. You said risk. So you're identifying the issue. When you are identifying the issue, you analyze the issue and the risk. You will create a mitigating factor or controlling factor and offer solution as well. And ensuring that the solution you offer is being worked on in a way that it will be deployed into the usage of the end user to the maximum level of satisfaction. Does that make sense? If you can understand this information I've just passed across to you in just the same way we are gisting, then you've got it all. It's as simple as that. So it's your duty as a project manager to manage the entire end-to-end process. It is your duty as a business analyst to analyze the product, to analyze the issue, the risk. By you identifying the issue, analyzing it, doing research on it, creating a solution, and providing a maximum solution to the level of quality that satisfies the end user. When we say the word end user means that the person that may not even need the product at this very moment, but will need it later on. In fact, it could even be someone that is against the product as at now. It could even be a major competitor. Because one of the things you need to identify in an environment like this is that if you provide a solution to a particular issue, say for example, Android phones came out before iOS phone, right? Now, when Android, we were doing very well, then iPhone came out as well, and they become a major competitors. They become major competitors one another. But definitely for iPhone to be able to produce iPhone, they will have gone to learn from the experience of Android phone to see, okay, how did they pack it together? How does the speaker work? Where did they put camera? How did they input the couple it together? And how does the app work? How did they, a lot of things that they must have analyzed in the previous product that had been done by different other brands. So one of the things you need to do as a business analyst is what we call comparative analysis. What do I call it? What did I call it?
Comparative analysis.
Comparative analysis. Another analysis you need to do is what we call competitive analysis. What did I call it?
Competitive analysis.
Sorry, pardon me. Competitive analysis. So a lot of other analysis that you have to do as well, but I've just giving you an idea of some of other things that you need to do. So you as a business analyst, you are not here to come and merriment, to come and relax. You must be ahead of your game. You must understand the scope and the concept of the problem, or let me say the issue that we have even ahead of us. The organization has an issue and a risk that they are undergoing or they are battling with. It's their headache. You have been employed to come here to come and solve their headache for them. So they've employed you to come and find a solution to the challenges that they're having. So your responsibility as a business analyst is to find solution. Does that make sense? Now, I'm just going to quickly talk about this. Now, there are different kind of let's say project environment, or that kind of a project. Now, there's what we call project-based companies and significant capital-based division. Project-based companies and significant project-based division. I will give you an example. A construction company is an example of a project-based company. What they do as on a daily basis in that company is doing projects. I'm talking about construction companies such as road construction companies. There are some construction companies that are building construction companies. Some are let me say infrastructural construction companies. What they do on the daily basis is project based. That is almost their business as usual. But when we're talking about significant capital project based division, let's look at an example such as NHS. NHS is not a project environment. What they do there on a daily basis is to save life. But in a situation where a pandemic happened, for example, they set aside some amount of capital aside to look into that. So that is an example of a significant capital-based division. Another thing, I'm sure we all know Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, what they do on a daily basis is production of Coca-Cola. Different types of Coca-Cola, zero diet, and so on. But say, for example, Coca-Cola have decided to, create a particular brand during a particular festive period, just to give bonus to, just to give their customers in a different experience. And Coca-Cola actually assigns some level of money or amount of money to creating that particular product, a limited edition, which will have a particular number that will be sold for a particular season. Now, Coca-Cola have decided to assign some capital or some money into that to look into that particular project at that time. So we can say at that time that Coca-Cola is a significant capital-based project or division. That is what they do normal on a normal day, on a good day, is different from projects. But there are some projects that comes up which they need to do. Say, for example, there are a lot of other examples actually that what they do on a normal day, yeah, is not okay. Let's say Virgin Media. Virgin Media provides internet for their customers. Now, peradventure, Virgin Media decided that okay, we want to set aside um, some amount of money to take our product to a specific location in the United Kingdom and offer them 5G. Maybe it's a luxury environment, a luxury area. They want to give them a special treatment, and they assign some amount of money, to do that project. So we can look at that as a significant capital-based division. So that is all about that. I believe that is clear to us. Now let's quickly look at this part: project manager and a business analyst. Now we've known what what business analysis is all about. We've known what project management is all about. So the project manager is in charge of project management, and the person that that analyzes the business is called a business analyst. We all know that. So now, as a project manager and business analyst, there is a level of interrelationship and leverage between them. A project manager must work hand in hand with business analyst. A business analyst must work hand in hand with a project manager. There is a level of interaction between both of them. One of it is that, okay, Mr. Peter Folashade, can you talk now?
What, you're asking me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Oh, you can talk now. Fantastic. Wow. You can see the screen, can you?
Yeah,
Right.
I can.
Great. Mr. Peter, can you, from what you can see on the screen, what are the things that you can see that the project manager should do in a project environment? We've explained earlier what a project environment is. That is an environment where it involves every one of us that are working in a project, including the resource management team members, the stakeholders, the users, the developers, the sponsors, the external third party, the organization itself. Now, let's say everything we see on the screen here, you can see the two circles that both of them are carrying that interject with one another. Now, let's see this box as a project environment. In the project environment here, Mr. Peter, can you read out to us what are the roles and responsibility, or what are the things the project manager should do?
Yeah, certainly does. Planning the project,
Thank
listening,
you.
administrating, monitoring, supervising, motivating, risk managing, constraint managing, resource managing, and reporting.
Who does it report to?
They report to the stakeholders and the end users.
Fantastic. They report to the stakeholders. Let's leave it as stakeholder for now. Don't let us confuse ourselves with too much of okay, when, like, because it gets to a point where we have to break it down what we mean by stakeholders. So when we get to that point, we'll break it down. Who are stakeholders? So now let's say they report to the stakeholders, right? Let's leave the end users for now. Or I just want to be very careful if I'm not confusing you. Right, Madam Folashade, as a business analyst that you are, what would be your role and responsibility in a project environment, seeing what you have on the screen?
So that would be understanding business,
Right.
investigating,
One moment
clarifying.
before you go for that. Understanding the business. That word business there. What other things can we replace the word business to?
Service, products, the company.
Not service. Product. What other things?
The company.
The company, yes.
Like the business case.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. The document is business case. Understanding the business, the word business now we replace it with
Products.
We've,
Yeah.
we've replaced it with business as well. And we've replaced it with what? What else? What else can you replace it with?
Service.
No. We are not service provider in a project environment. We are producing a product. And what else? There's a word that starts with O.
Organization.
Now, yeah, understanding the organization, yes. Understanding the organization, understanding the product. So let's replace business with organization with product. What else can we replace it with? The word starts with O. Output.
Oh, outputs. Okay. Okay.
Solution. So understanding the product, understanding the output, understanding the organization, understanding the solution, or understanding the system. Does it make sense? Right, let's continue investigating. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm clarifying, questioning, quantifying.
One moment. How do you question? Like when we say questioning, or what other words? Fantastic. What other words can we use for questioning?
Do you mean asking questions from the stakeholders?
Yeah, it's still as questioning. But if you don't want to say questioning, what other word can we use? One word.
Interrogating.
Interrogating, yes. Inquiring,
Inquiry, yeah.
and what else?
Mm.
Eliciting.
Uh, okay.
Fantastic. You've tried. Well done to you. So questioning, we can say, okay, inquiring, investigating, eliciting, analyzing. What else? Yeah. So now those words is helping us to actually understand this thing very well. So when we say, okay, questioning, ideally we will not say, okay, we are going there to go and question our stakeholders. We won't use that word. We'll say we are going there to elicit, to inquire, to investigate, to find out. Do you get it now? Now, if
Yeah.
all these things from the preliminary level here, you are ready for interview. Because if you go for an interview and you go and say, okay, one of the things I do on a daily basis is to go and question my stakeholder, they're like, oh, do you get it? But when you say,
Yeah.
okay, one of the things I do during my project is to investigate, is to find out, is to inquire, is to, and so on and so forth. Right, let's continue quantifying, yes.
Modeling, formalizing, risk identifying, innovating, facilitating, feeding back.
Feeding back.
Yeah.
Reports. So what other words can we use for feedback? That is what? Reports, right?
Yeah.
Another word, what other word can we use? Feedback,
Um,
report. Mr. Peter, you can answer, you can actually participate in this as well. What other word can we use for feedback?
I'm taking a wild guess here, but maybe evaluation.
No, feedback. When you give a feedback,
Yeah.
present, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? So we're
yeah.
giving a feedback to our stakeholder by presenting to them. Does that make sense? Now, one of the
Yeah.
Okay.
things you have to do as a business analyst is to facilitate. When you're saying facilitating, that is we can say, okay, when you're facilitating, you are asking questions, trying to figure out what they have in their mind beyond trying to understand what they have in their imagination. Asking question, allowing people to speak. Okay, you said this, you said that. Okay, you want blue, you want red, you want gold, you want that. Everybody, this one wants this one want that. Then you facilitating. Okay, I've got what you said. You are coming from the customer service department, a fantastic administrative department. Yeah, this is what you want. Okay, the sales department. This is what you marketing department. This is what you want. Okay, we've got all your information. Thank you very much. We'll come back for another investigating, or we'll come back for another elicitation. So those are the things you have to do throughout your project life cycle. Modeling. Modeling means you creating models, diagrams. Instead of you writing everything in full A4 paper, you just do it in diagram. Is that what you mean? Or in a diagram, in a flow? Say, for example, one of the solution you want to create is for a home to be able to use a smart door. I'm sure you've all heard about smart doors before, right? Have you heard about smart doors before? You don't have to use the key, but you use like your fingerprint, or you use like a pass.
Yeah.
That's smart. Those are smart locks, right? Now,
Yeah.
you want to talk about that. Maybe that's the business want the entire doors to be changed from a key lock to a smart lock. Now, you've said, okay, we've gone to all your businesses, we've seen all your offices, and we've been able to analyze the size of the doors, the number, the kind of people that want to use the doors. You need to be able to even figure out, okay, who are the people that want to use this door? Are there people that are they children? Are they adults? If our children will be careless with using of password. No, children may be careless with the use of pass. Old aged people may find it difficult to use password. Does that make sense? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, people that are above 75 who have started forgetting things, are they still in the business? So they might be people that may find it difficult to use passcode. But children may find it difficult to possibly use smart card, like a pass. Okay, then we've all decided that, okay, in this case, instead of using password or smart, let's use fingerprint. Either you are illiterate or you are not literate, or you are adult or you are not adult, or whoever you are, fingerprint will work for you. So we can say, okay, yeah, we've gone to elicit, we've figured out, we've analyzed, and all these things you want to say, you've now put it in a diagram. That's modeling. The start point is Mr. A dash door dash fingerprint dash open dash close dash. How does that sound? If you have to put that in, if you have to explain the process, in an A4 paper or in a document, writing it, how much of paper, how much letters do you think you will have written?
That's a lot.
That's a lot. But when you model it, user dash sorry, users dash door dash fingerprint dash open dash close dash end of process. So giving that to your stakeholder, this is the process flow. They can see, yes, yeah, we're happy with that. They sign it. Instead of you bombarding me with too much words, you're giving me a headache. You're adding to my problem by that. How does that sound? Giving me too much of things to read is adding to my problem as a busy stakeholder. How does that sound? Correct or not correct? Hello? Mr. Peter, do you agree with me that you writing too much of words to me as a stakeholder is adding to my problem?
Yeah, I agree with you.
But if you draw it, I'll just look at it in 6 to 10 seconds and I've understood what you have said. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right. So we all know what a business analyst and a project manager will do. Now, in the process of ensuring that we have a smooth end-to-end process of a project, there are some things that we must do. Is what is inside this circle. Can somebody help us to read out what is inside the circle that is peculiar to both? Two of them must do some things.
So it's listening, collaborating, and steering towards a goal.
Fantastic. Two of them must listen. Both project manager and business analyst, they must all listen. They must collaborate together, brainstorm together, be on the same page to understand the goal and steer towards the goal. You as a project manager, as a scrum master, as a technical business analyst, you cannot run solo. You have to work together to steering towards the goal. Now, based on what you can see inside this circle here, you as a project manager, what scope do you focus on?
The project scope, is it?
Project scope. That is, you focus on the project scope. Folashade, you as a business analyst, what scope do you focus on?
Solution scope.
Solution scope. Now, one person is focusing on project scope, that is ensuring that the end-to-end process of the project is managed adequately. That is managing the risk, issues, assumption, timeline, benefits, and everything, dependencies, and co. Resource management, focusing on that. Ensuring that we manage everything. We are managing. A project manager manages everything. But you, as a business analyst, you are focusing on the solution. Someone is managing, another person is managing. So somebody is one person is managing, another person is providing solution. Even in a home, a new couple have just got married. One of them is actually working, the other one is managing the kids and managing the home. How does that sound? Does it make sense? It's still all project. All right.
Yeah, makes sense.
So there must be level of marriage and relationship and synergy and interrelationship with project manager and a business analyst. Now, a project environment is totally different from a business as usual. Mr. Peter, what is business as usual?
Basically, it's just the day-to-day operations of any given business that happens all the time with no end date and no limits. For example, like in retailing, a retail company would just sell products to the consumer in exchange for money, and that happens all the time.
Fantastic. That happens all the time. That is our normal routine. We have our routine. We understand what we do on a daily basis. We know that we start 9 a.m. and finish by 5 o'clock. We know that at so point in time, the delivery teams are the delivery van is going to arrive and is going to deliver all our goods and we store it in our store. So we have our plan. Everyday plan is a business as usual. We know what we are doing. Nothing changes. Peradventure, in most cases, everything will be the same every day. That's business as usual. Now, let's see. What are the characteristics of a business as usual? On a business as usual, what are the things that we experience in a business as usual environment? Who wants to help us? Folashade, what are the things that happens in a business as usual environment? Characteristics of a business as usual.
We have ongoing activities.
Thank you.
Stable team, routine duties, and degree of certainty.
Fantastic. Very well. Thank you so much. What are the characteristics of a project? Mr. Peter, do you want to help us with that?
The project contains three major things. Does the
characteristics of a project? You've said it earlier. You have it on the screen. What are the characteristics of a project? Mr. Peter, are you there? Mr. Peter, are you there? Folashade, do you want to help us this time? Characteristics of a project. Can anyone?
We have change.
Fantastic.
It is temporal.
Yeah, it's temporary.
Cross-functional.
Hold on. Do you want to explain? Do you understand what it means when we say change?
Yes, something that is not routine. It's different.
Fantastic.
From the ordinary.
I like the way you use something that is not routine. It can actually change. In fact, it can change out of our control. In fact, it can change. It can happen at any time. Things can happen at any time that we don't plan for. So that's change. Temporary. It is not. Welcome back, Mr. Peter. Temporary.
Yes, I do apologize for that.
It's fine. Don't worry. I can understand. So temporary means that it is not a forever living product. We are not going to be here forever. For example, now you've started now, you have an end date. You cannot be here forever. So it's temporary. Cross-functional. What does cross-functional mean?
I think what that means is like different departments need their hand-on skill to
Not
carry
different
out the
department,
project.
not different department, different
Teams, individuals.
Fantastic. Different individuals. We have the project managers have to do his own bit. The scrum master does his own bit. The product owner do his own bit. Technical business analyst do his own bit. The developer, testers, everybody are selected from different angles. In fact, we can have somebody representing the sales team, another person representing the the admin team. Every one of them put the idea together and go and give it to the product owner. Now we have one single person coming into the program, into the project as the product owner. So indirectly, we still have internal or external stakeholders. All those people are external stakeholders that they have given their needs, what they want improvement on in their own department. They've sent a representative to the product owner. The product owner and the business analyst have worked on it. They've captured the requirement and the need. Now they are bringing it to the project. So we have cross-functionals. In fact, beyond our organizational structure or organizational resource, we can go outside there to go and source for external persons that can help us to solve this issue. So those are external third party, or we could even have external subject matter experts. That is, maybe we just need a particular as someone who is not going to be with us throughout the project, but is going to be with us for a particular time of the project, which we don't need to employ that person in our organization, but we just need that person's skill at a point in time during our project to just come and assist us, provide a subject matter solution, and do that bit, cross-check, find and realize that it's done, sign off, and the person leaves. So we have cross-functional team members. One of the ways we can look at it, that we can have people from different parts of the world. The developer is in China, the project manager is in UK, the business analyst is in America, the front-end developer or designer is in Canada. It's cross-functional. Does that make sense now? If you can get all these things I am saying correctly and you get it digestively, let me use that word, into your system, you are good to go to start facing interview. For example, you can say at the interview that, okay, I work with cross-functional team members, which includes the developer, the project manager, the scrum master, and most of them are actually in different locations in different parts of the world. In fact, with different linguistic lingua differences. Does that make sense, Folashade?
Yes, it does.
So they will look at it that, okay, for you as a lead business analyst to be able to work with developers that is in Jamaica and with the project manager who is a Chinese, with another resource member who is a nation, their English and their thinking is different from your own, but you are able to bring them together, understand their needs, and still be able to work. It shows your level of competency. You being able to work, leverage very well and adaptively with cross-functional team members around the world. It's a plus for you. This should reflect in your CV. Hello. I couldn't get any response. Hello.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. Now, unique. Every project is unique in its own way. The need for A project is different from the need for B project. That's a uniqueness. The timeline, the cost, the number of people working on it is part of its uniqueness. The level of experience required in this project is different from that. That's part of uniqueness. This should reflect in what you will say in interview, should reflect in your CV. For example, you can say that, yeah, the project I mentioned earlier as one of the previous example I've used in one of the projects I've worked on is different from this one I'm talking about now. They see that, wow, that person is using the right word, unique. Okay. The uniqueness in the project I've worked on, which is actually responding to digital migration, to digital transformation, and requiring much resource team member, is actually different from this particular one I'm talking about now, which is more about data migration, migrating our data from our internal server to a cloud environment. How does that sound? It sounds that you know what you are talking about. Hello?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Lifespan. Single entity, that is, don't forget yesterday we mentioned the word self-organization. When the project team has been put together, you become a self-organized team and you become a single entity. You are different from the business as usual. Do you get that?
Yeah, I get it.
A project must have a life cycle change, successive principles. That is, what are the principles that make your project work? At the start of your project here, for example, one of the things you have to do is to create your, we'll call it, what name do we call it now? Rules of engagement. You have your own rules of engagement for your project. Your project will have a name, your team will have a name. Then you have your rules of engagement, the way you want to interact with one another, the way you want your team members to interact with one another, the way you want to interact with the stakeholders. It's part of your principles. Does that make sense? And having to analyze what the project is responding to will help you to be able to analyze what your rules of engagement should be. Hello? I hope I'm not too fast.
No, it's okay.
No, you're not.
Folashade, am I making sense so far?
Yes.
The difference between projects and a business as usual, we've looked at that already. Now, when a finished product, that is the system, the solution, the output, what other words did we use earlier? The system, the product, the output, the solution, when it is done, it's been deployed to where the business is deployed to where? Hello. When we are done working on the product we are creating an iPhone 17 Pro Max, for example. iPhone 17 Pro Max, when we're done with it, where do we deploy it to?
The main areas of the business.
Business as usual. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Type of project, categories of project, we know what that means. It's not something we can't. Why do projects fail? We have to talk about this together. I'm going to allow you both to talk about this. So what are the reasons you think a project will fail? You have Expo on your screen here. Well, actually, tell us 3 reasons why a project will likely fail. Let's discuss this in 1 minute.
So the first one we have is lack of coordination of resources and activities. I think that basically means the inability to utilize available resources or probably budget for the adequate resources, or maybe underestimating or overestimating the project. That could be a problem. And the next one is lack of communication, especially with the customer, in the sense that you are not able to actually provide what the customer wants, or not able to give the desired outputs for what was required initially. And that would definitely be a problem, because obviously you're doing a different thing from the customer's request. Well, the third one is poor time and cost estimation. Yeah, so a project definitely has to be timely, and say you've given about 2 to 5 weeks estimation, and if you are underperforming, it's definitely going to be a problem. And also the cost estimations, like I said earlier, you have to do proper budget implementation, and also make rooms for provision. And if in situations where such provisions are already utilized and you have to now go above budget, it's definitely going to cause a major pitfall in the project.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Mr. Peter, please can you tell us what are the things or what are the reasons you think a project can fail?
One way is through what's called scope creep, where different demands are met by the different stakeholders, and basically because different demands are being met, the project management cannot cope with meeting everybody's demands at the same time.
Thank you. Fantastic. That's correct. Give us another two.
Also, like uneven distribution of resources to the different departments involved in the projects.
Another one.
And yeah, I think the last one, that's one that does stick out for me. It's quality control, like nobody's making sure that the end product works in the exact way that it should work according to the project charter and the business case.
Fantastic. Who is in charge of quality control? Is it the project manager or a business analyst?
Isn't it everybody's responsibility?
Fantastic. Fantastic. That's what I want to hear. Fantastic. Everybody is in charge of quality control. Lack of control over progress. Who is in charge of progress of the project? The business analyst or the project manager, or both?
I would have said it's
I think
both.
it's the both of them.
You both say both of them. Why is it both of them? Shade first. Why is it both of them?
Oh, well, because I feel everybody already have like the stages that they have to go through in a limited period of time. Since it's a cross-functional activity, hence every department has been assigned different functions and they have to be timely. So I think it's both responsibility of the PM and also the business analyst.
Thank you. Mr. Peter, why do you say it's both of them? Why not one person among them?
Yeah, I was going to say that she basically said more or less what I was thinking as well. It's because everybody knows exactly what they need to do from start to finish within the project. And that everybody has
know. Everybody would not know what is meant to do, what is meant to happen from start to finish. We will all only have an idea. We understand the goal, but we cannot 100% say this is what's going to happen in stage 2. But we know this is where we are all going. Do you get it? But for us to ensure that we are moving from stage 1 correctly, ensuring that we manage the quality, the risk, the scope to the standard that the stakeholder wants in stage 1, everybody will be involved. But the level of involvement in that is different. For example, everyone is accountable. Sorry, everybody is responsible, but the project manager is accountable for the progress. Hello?
Yeah.
The project manager is accountable for the progress. Don't forget that we saw it here, that the project scope, project manager manages the project scope, right? So
yeah, that's correct.
The project manager is accountable, but everybody is responsible. Who is responsible?
Yeah, everybody's responsible.
Who is
the project manager is accountable.
Fantastic, well done. Let's continue. What must be controlled in a project? There are some things that, see, for us to be able to move successfully from stage 1 to stage 2, or from sprint 1 to sprint 2 adequately, there are some things that must be controlled. That is, we must not go beyond our tolerance in this. So what are those things?
Yeah, everything that's listed on the project slide, like time, cost, quality, scope, benefits, and risk delegation control.
Fantastic. So you must manage your time, your cost, the quality. All this must be managed. It must be under control. And who controls that? Who is accountable?
The project management.
The
Who is
project manager,
responsible?
everyone.
Everyone. Thank you very much. Boundaries of a project. Every project must have a boundary that is called a constraint. That is where we must not go beyond. If you go beyond the boundaries, you have gone out of tolerance. You've gone out of what?
Tolerance.
You've gone out of what, Sade?
Tolerance.
Now, if we say we are spending 5 days in this at this stage, now we have now spent 7 days. Are we within our tolerance, or we are outside our tolerance?
Outside the tolerance.
Outside the tolerance. And what impact do you think that is going to have on stage 2?
Limited
There'll be
time.
less time.
Limited time, stress, mismanagement of resource, pressure on the resource. Why? Because we've got out of our tolerance. So what are the things that we must control? Every project operates within a boundaries called tolerance. And what are these constraints? That is, in stage 1, for example, we must know these are the goals in stage 1. In stage 1, we must achieve this, we must achieve this, we must achieve that, we must achieve this in stage 1 for us to move to stage 2. So that is our goal in stage 1. If we go out of that time, then we have gone out of constraints. When you move out of your constraints, you've gone out of tolerance. Does that make sense? If you've gone out of
Yes.
the timeline, your schedule, we are working 9 to 5, 5 days, 10 resource. Say, for example, 10 people are meant to report to work for 7 hours, but peradventure, 7 people turn up. What is our tolerance? How many people are meant to work?
Yeah, 10 are meant to work.
10 are meant to work, 8 people turn up. Now, the 2 people that are meant to be part of the 8 people, the load of those people will be shifted on the 8 people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
that's
what
correct.
happens to them? That means they will work extra hours.
Yeah,
At the
overtime.
time they start working extra hours, they've gone out of what?
Tolerance level.
Constraints. They've gone out of boundary. Now, when they go out of boundary, they will likely go out of tolerance. That is, they will now, the work they're supposed to do for 5 days, they may end up spending 6 days or 7 days. So you, as a project manager, you must pay attention to the scheduling and the scope and the resource and the people. Yesterday, you remember when I was saying that you cannot decide to be absent because you just wish. You must tell the project manager. So the project manager must plan with himself and with the other resource member. How do we want to make up for this one person that is absent? Do you understand the reason why it is important that you should not be absent?
Yeah.
So it is not an environment where you can decide that I'm tired today, I'm not going. No. Because if you do that, if another person do that, you have just by yourself rubbish your project. You will not make up the time, and that will lead to project creep. What do I say? It leads to what? Project
creep.
It leads to what? Project
creep.
Okay. Is it making sense? Is the foundation we're having right here, is it making sense? Is it adding up?
Yeah, it does.
Yes, it does.
Project boundaries, the boundaries of a project, the scope, The people, we must have the number of people we need, the number of resource. We must have our timeline. We must understand our goal, which is scope. That's one of the things it's important for you to understand your scope from the start of the project. Say, for example, next week we are starting our project. Your mandate has been given today, and you still don't understand what you mean to do, and you have 5 days to deliver that goal in that next week. What would you do today? Let's say your mandate has been given to you on Thursday. You are meant to start on Monday, and as of today, you don't understand the scope. Meaning that by the time you start on Monday, still not understanding your scope, you've started giving yourself unnecessary challenge from the start. So today, you as a project manager or you as a BA lead, what would you do to mitigate against that? What will you do? Folashade first.
I think you're supposed to like go through the business case with the product owner one more time so that you can gain clarity on what you need to do.
You will need to go, you've used some right words, but the word business case, remove it and replace it with something else. You need to go to who? Is it the business case or the stakeholder or your project?
The stakeholder or the product owner.
No, don't use the word project owner now. Let's use the word stakeholder. Till when we get to stakeholder management, I don't want you to get confused. So let's say stakeholder. So you will go to stakeholder to do what?
You go to the stakeholder to like gain clarity on the project.
Fantastic. Do you remember we had the word clarity earlier when we were saying what other words can we use for investigating and
Questioning.
You need to go there to question more. Please, so this thing that we asked, this mandate is not clear to me. And I only have 5 days next week to clarify this. In the case, you know that person can say, we'll see, I've booked an holiday. I'm not coming. Abby?
Yeah, that's possible.
Mr. Peter, am I Mr. Peter, am I right?
Yeah, I'm following you, don't worry. I might be quiet, but I'm following.
So the person might decide to say, you know what? I'm not going to be available on Friday. Friday is my holiday. So your mandate has been given. Good luck to you. On Thursday, Friday, I'm not available. I've already booked holiday with my family. So in a situation like that, what would you do? Will you start crying or you go and be making research? What would you do? What do you think you should do at that point when the person you're supposed to make inquiry from had decided not to turn up and you still don't understand your scope? You don't know what to do next week and you are starting your project next week or you are resuming next week. Next week, Monday. What are the things that you should do? What are the things you could likely do to ensure that you have a good start? What are the things you have to do when the person you're supposed to ask questions had gone on holiday or had decided not to turn up? Tell me things that you would likely do to still ensure that you are on track, you have a good start on Monday.
Prepare in advance.
Let's have Peter first. Mr. Peter, let's go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, gather the information well in advance, long before the actual start date.
You don't get the scenario. The scenario is that your mandate was given to you on Thursday, and you gather together as a team on Thursday. When you look at it, you realize that, wow, this mandate is not clear to us. I don't know what to do. Okay, on Friday, you decide to schedule a meeting with your stakeholder to explain to him or her you don't understand what this mandate is all about. And the person said, no, I'm going on holiday. I've booked holiday with my family and I'm not coming tomorrow. What would you do to ensure that you have a good start on Monday? What would you do? Would you start crying or you will resign or what would you do? I want to test your knowledge here. What will you do?
Wouldn't there be like information available anyway from like the project charter or something like that the project manager could refer back to in order to gain clarity.
Right. Okay, what else would you do? I will correct what you said very well. I will help you refine tune it. Okay, what else would you do? Okay, let's have Folashade. Folashade, what else would you do? What do you think you should do at this point? You don't want to go out of boundary for next week. Your stakeholder is going on holiday on Friday. What would you do?
I think I would just probably make research on the
Fantastic. You will make research, yes.
so and if that is not valid enough or it's not enough information, maybe probably just ask questions from other stakeholders.
Fantastic. Inquiry from other stakeholders. Now,
Yeah.
Mr. Peter was right. What Mr. Peter was trying to say was that you will have to go back to other projects which has been done similar to that. Is that what you're trying to say, Mr. Peter?
Yes, it was.
You go back to other project that's been done that is similar to that, and where can you find that? You will find that in the company repository. What did I call it?
The repository.
Companies repository.
Repository. So there's where you have informations about previous projects. One of the things you can do is that, okay, this project, find out from the program office or from the human resource or from the organization, or has this kind of project been done before? Has anything similar to this has been done before? How was it done? Okay, if the answer is yes, where is the repository? You go to repository, you figure it out. Okay, this is the project that was done. Version 1.1 was done in 2022. Now we are now given a mandate to develop version 1.1 to version 1.2. And the stakeholder who has given the mandate, or the person who can assist you on that, has said is going on holiday, you go on repository to go and figure out, find out version 1.1, what was done then. Is there any other similar product that the version 1.2 has been done in your organization or outside your own organization? Does it make sense? You now go for that to make further research over the weekend. When you're supposed to attend, when you're all supposed to resume on Monday for 9 a.m., you tell your team members everybody must resume by 7:30 or 8 o'clock. You brainstorm together, give everybody something to go and work on over the weekend, analyze together. So by the time your stakeholder that you are meant to ask questions on Friday has turn up, the person has now turned up on Monday morning thinking that, wow, I do not just like that Folashade. I don't want him. I don't want her in this project. Therefore, I will go on holiday on Friday so that they will not get the scope correctly, so that the project will not work very well and they will not succeed. Do you know that that happens in a project environment?
Yes.
Mr. Peter, do you think that what happens in a work environment?
I think so.
The person may not say it out, but it can show in his attitude or her attitude, or it can happen. Just because Folashade is the lead business analyst, and he knows that if Folashade does not get it right, the team will struggle and decide to book an holiday, or possibly maybe the stakeholder is not interested in that project. It's against what is his own interest in that organization. Are you aware it's possible?
No, I
Yes, it
wasn't.
is.
Mr. Peter, what did you say?
Yeah, so I wasn't aware, because I always thought that the stakeholder, they would be somewhat connected to the project. They'll be affected by it one way or the other. So they would have some interest in it.
So some people are not interested in that new project. They don't want the change to happen. Maybe, for example, the example we have just used earlier, transiting into using of lock, manual lock to digital lock. Some people don't want to use the digital lock. They are just too adaptive. They are just too rigid to the ancient way of working. They don't want the new development. They are anti-technology. Now you have now introduced smart something. You're giving them additional headache, and you're now asking the person to come and give you advice on how to be successful in that project. The person will have every good reasons not to be available. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does now.
Because they are not interested. When we get to stakeholder management, we'll talk more about that. So it is your responsibility as a project manager who wants to manage the project scope, and responsibility of the business analyst, lead business analyst that want to manage the project solution, to ensure that everything is under control. All responsible for control. Project manager accountable for control. Is it looking like it's difficult now?
Yeah, I'm following you.
No, it's not difficult. We're following.
Okay. Okay. Let's move forward. Project people. Who are the project people? Now, there's what we call people in project. That there's a term, project people. That is everyone that is involved in the project. We're talking about the resource team members. We're talking about the end users. We're talking about the executive, the directors, the suppliers, the senior suppliers, the senior users, the product owner, the developer, etc. etc. The board members, the supports, the volunteers, they all form part of project people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, the project managers have roles and responsibility in a project. Or the business analysts have the roles and responsibility in a project. This is where we're going to stop tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Or it's only the lady and gentlemen. Okay? This is where we're going to stop. We've got a very balanced and well represented section tonight. We've got a man and a woman, and a business analyst and a project manager. Now, your take home. I'm going to be calling your take home out for you. Now, this is meant to be worked on by every one of you. Okay? So, Folashade will represent the business analysts, and Peter will represent the PMs. Who are the people in PM? Yourself and Mr. Trust is in PM. You guys are doing PM. Folashade, Damilolas, all the Damilolas, and Mr. Adi is doing business analysis. So what you need to go and write out is, what are the roles and responsibilities? 20 roles and responsibilities. No, 20 is too much. Let me give you 15. 15 roles and responsibility of a project manager in a digital environment. The second question is 15 roles of a business analyst in a technical project environment. Does that make sense? Folashade, are you there?
Yes, I'm trying to take it down. You said 15 roles and responsibilities of a PM in a digital environment.
Yeah.
And the second one is 15 roles and responsibilities of a BA in a what did you call it?
In a technical project environment.
Technical project environment. Okay.
Right. That's where we're going to stop tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we've had a very beautiful time. Have you?
I'm sorry, I have a question. This assignment, like, should I post it on the group, or is just something?
Yes, that's the reason why I asked you to take it down.